Hey guys, everything new under the sun. So we talk about end-time Bible prophecy in the last days that we're in, and how much time is left, and the potential for an economic collapse. This is a Zero Hedge article, and you've seen me, I've done lots of videos before. I haven't done one recently about gold, silver, as an investment, as real currency, as a way to hedge your bets against an economic collapse, complete and total, or the devaluation of money. With the current fiat money supply, money is devalued each year. It's called inflation, and it's about 2%. So the dollar bill you hold in your hand, in Canada, loonie, if you have a loonie. In the U.S., do you have a single dollar bill? I guess you probably do, so you don't have coins for a dollar bill yet. But that loses 2% each year, as does all your wealth, effectively, all the money you have in the bank, etc. It loses about 2% a year. That's called inflation. That's the cost of money. That is the decrease in value of your money over time. So what you want to do is you don't invest with fiat currency. You invest in properties, because property value generally goes up, or at least you can always get some value out of it. It doesn't go down to zero like fiat currency does. Fiat currency always goes down to zero. Or you invest in gold and silver. That's a great hedge against an economic collapse because it carries your wealth through any particular event. I don't know if we're going to have time to make use of this. The end days are close, and the Bible does say that at one point in time, everybody's going to throw their gold and silver into the streets because they won't be able to eat it. It says that the loaf of bread is going to cost a lot of money. I should find. Let me see if I can find that scriptural reference, because I think that's important. Let's see. Loaf of bread, Bible verse. Let's see if I can find this one. What scripture? I should probably know that scriptural reference. Cost of food. We know that fiat currency will be done away with at some point in time. We know that we're going to move to a mark of the beast system. We know that people are going to be starving if they don't take the mark of the beast, because they can't buy or sell. So Revelation 6:6. Let's see. Ah, yes, the Revelation 6:6, verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard a third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances. Let me just reveal this so you can see this. There we go. And sat on him, had a pair of balances on his hand, in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine." Now, so in the last days there will be famine and pestilence, and food will be very expensive in the last days. The first century AD was a time when the denarius was approximately the amount of money some workers were paid for a full day of work. For instance, Matthew 20:2-9 suggests workers were paid 1 denarius, or a penny, for 8 hours. So it's going to take you a whole day of work to get, let's see, a measure of wheat. A measure of wheat was, as far as I know, the amount that is required to make basically bread, or rather a loaf. So you'd work all day for 1 loaf. That's effectively what it means. And so at some point in time, gold and silver will be thrown into the streets. I don't know exactly when. Could the economic collapse happen prior to that, and gold and silver are going to be helpful for a certain period of time? It's absolutely possible, and I think that God gives us a brain to be wise about things, and that's why I've done the videos on gold and silver. I'm not going to read all this article here, but I did want to read a couple of things. Let's see, where was this that I was reading? It says here, unlike fiat money, which is money based on the confidence of man, gold cannot be devalued by a central bank or monetary policy. They can't shift the price of it unless it's on the gold and silver markets, the paper gold and silver markets. They can inflate or deflate the price of it just by moving large amounts of fiat cash back and forth on the paper derivative of gold. But gold itself always has a value. It will never be worth zero generally. Furthermore, gold does not carry a risk of default or a counterparty risk. It's not a debt note. Fiat currency is a debt note. I owe you, basically. A $5 bill means the central bank owes you $5 effectively. Bank deposits and short-term debt securities may be destroyed by bankruptcies or debt relief. However, none of this applies to gold. Its market value cannot drop to zero. It can drop, but it cannot drop to zero. And this is why it's helpful if there's economic collapse. This could take some of your wealth, transfer it through to the other side into the new economic system, whatever it is, and then you can trade that gold in and get some wealth on the other side, whatever that new currency, whatever that new fiat thing is. You'll be able to exchange gold and silver for that new economic currency system, whatever that is. These two features, it says, protection against currency devaluation and payment default, explain why people have opted, when they have had the freedom to choose, for gold as their preferred money. And it's not like a $5 bill, which can be worth nothing. In an economic collapse or really hard times, if people are starving, they're not going to accept your $5 bill. They want food. And if they have a $5 bill, and you have food, you're probably not going to accept the $5 bill because you'd rather keep the food. Similar with gold, but gold at least has value beyond any governments. So you'll know gold and silver will always be worth something, and it's great for bartering. So there is a bit more value there. In times of crisis, the holder of gold, if he or she has not bought it at too high a price, can have the hope that the value of gold is likely to increase, or he or she exchange gold for instance, shares at a significantly discounted price. So just after an economic collapse, gold and silver are going to be worth a lot because people will be using those to barter with, so the value of it's going to skyrocket. And then after the collapse, everything will be so cheap because people are looking for food and money that you'll be able to buy a house with a gold coin because people will be looking for anything to get money to buy other food, and so they'll be selling all their big assets, so you get a huge discount on everything. Gold has proven to be better money. It has proven itself to be a better store of value than the U.S. or Canadian dollar or any other currency or any other fiat currency. So just another article that, guys, that you can read through and read about gold and silver. In the last days, I think God gives us a brain. I think we need to be wise about what we have. We need to be prepared. We need to provide for our family and store up things like these to prepare because we need to provide for our family in these last days until the return of the Lord. And there's going to be some hard times coming, so it's the responsibility of the man in the house to store up food, to store up some water, to store up some valuables that can be used for trade or barter if you run out of food, and you can trade it or barter it to your neighbor. This is a way to hedge your bets. Have several different stores of value: food, water, gold, silver, chickens, for example. All these things can be used, and you don't know which is going to be the most valuable at that point in time. Likely, the most valuable thing in the worst case scenario is going to be food, but there's other times where, if you have to get away and travel away, get away from your house real quick, you can't take all your food with you, but you can take a couple of gold coins, and that can help you get you through a hard time wherever you have to move to in an emergency, in a martial law, in an economic collapse type situation. You can carry with you gold and silver quickly and exchange it wherever you end up, as long as people are willing to trade for gold and silver. And people will always find value in gold and silver. It's useful for a lot of things, and people know that it's always worth money versus paper money, fiat currency, which the government has to back. So if the government is not standing, or the government is not providing a backing for that currency, then it's worthless to you. So things to think about in these last days. You need to be prepared. Ultimately, you need to rely on God for provision, but He gives you a brain, and you don't, farmers don't have grain bins for no reason, because they have to store up grain for the next year. They don't just have faith in God that God's going to provide the seed crop for next year. You have to be wise. You have to use what the tool God gave you, put between your ears, called your brain, to store up. Same thing for the family in the last days. You need to be prepared for things. God gives us wisdom to do these things. Just like Joseph in Egypt, he prepared during 7 good years for 7 bad years when famine would come across the land of Egypt, and he would feed the whole population of Egypt and all his brothers from his position of power in Egypt because he was wise and he stored up during the 7 good years. I believe we're in the 7 good years right now. I did a video about that probably last year. And we're entering into a time of 7 bad years, a 7-year tribulation, effectively. So store up now. Times are easy now. Times are good now. It's not going to get any easier or any better than now. Now is your time to get your house in order, get these things prepared, get your heart ready, and be wise about these things because hard times are coming. If the mark of the beast comes out tomorrow and you're a Christian and you're not going to take it because that means worshiping the Antichrist, that means you're not going to be able to buy or sell food. So you better have something stored up. You better have something to barter with. You better have plans and provisions accordingly. So I'll leave it there, guys. Be prepared. Thanks for watching.